Hello everybody, this is BKC and today we're trying something a little different. This is Robocraft, and what Robocraft is a free-to-play game made by Free Jam. You can get it on Steam, you can download it absolutely free, play it totally free. It has it's a competitive game, multiplayer, and it has an anti-cheat, but whether that works 100% is questionable. It won the Indie Award of the Year 2014. It has a built-in cursive voice. It's currently in beta. It's kind of like TeamSpeak, and I've heard some people say they actually like it better because it automatically connects you to your teammates if they're on cursive voice, which is a separate download, but it works flawlessly with the game. And then they have Oberwolf, which is basically just a free streaming software for Robocraft. I haven't actually tried it yet because I'm kind of set up with OBS already, and it works perfectly fine. So we'll go ahead and I'll log in. They have their own server, and I think there's a company out of the UK. They have their own server. It takes a while to load because they're constantly patching it. I think it has to load all all the hot fixes and stuff that are not permanent, and it has a very long authentication process. But this is a game that I started playing about a month ago. I've pretty much unlocked everything, and I've done pretty much everything you can do in the game, but I kind of thought maybe I'd share it with you. And basically, when you enter Robocraft, you have your garage, and if you start a new account, you'll have a robot in here. And they just recently added 3 robots now that it comes with, because it starts with 3 garages, and there's 3 different robots. I think one's a SMG cruiser, one's a more tanky, slower I don't know if it's a plasma cruiser or not. I'm not sure. I think they just took that back out again. They put it in, then they take it out because people complain, and then they put it back in, and they're constantly changing the game. So sometimes it changes like week to week. And you start off with, like I said, 3 garages. I got 5 because I bought 2 extra because I was tired of deciding which robot I wanted to take apart and which robot I want to put back together, put together and stuff like that. But they have a robo shop, and you can come in here and you can, this is a tier 3 robot. This is a plasma hover. This one's a tier 3 robot, and it's a SMG tank. This one is a rail cruiser, tier 4. This one is a tier 5 plasma bomber. This is a plasma sled. I guess they call them. I don't know if it's technically a cruiser, a scout, or whatever. But it basically just has skis. It uses thrusters and skis and just skids along the ground. This one is a medic, a tier 6 medic hover, and this one is a tier 6 plasma copter. And you could buy these for like this one is 16,080 Galaxy Cash. So 16,000 Galaxy Cash it's about, I would say it's about $12 to $14 or something like that. So it's not really expensive, but you don't have to buy stuff with real money in this game. Everything in the game is totally free. You don't need to add funds. Basically, you start in your inventory, and you have these white blocks, which are free, and you can use as many of them as you want. And you have movement type, which basically are wheels, tier 1 wheels, and tier 1 steering wheels, and you can use as many of these as you want as free. And this is all the stuff that is available. Then you have guns, which I think you start out with 6 tier 1 SMGs, and then you can buy front mounts, and then you need a pilot seat, and you can get, I don't think none of this is unlocked at the beginning. And then you can buy cosmetics, and cosmetic stuff is stuff you have to pay for, but that is the only thing that if you want you can pay for. And it's just an altimeter to show you how high. I got a speedometer, and then I got my country's flag. So that's the stuff I bought. And then if you need more stuff, you can go to the Cube Depot, and you could buy these blocks. You could buy as many as you want for 0 RP or 0 Galaxy Cash. Now if you want to buy these triangles, they call these just cubes. These are called prisms. These are called tetras. These are called inners. And then they got the rounded ones, which are called inner rounded, rounded prism, which is kind of ridiculous, but anyway. And then a rounded tetra. And then they're very, very cheap. They're 2 RP or 1 Galaxy Cash. And I think you start with like 100 or 200 Galaxy Cash. So you could buy most of this. And then they have heavy cubes, heavy versions, which this cube has a health of 60. And let's see, basically it weighs 5 kilograms, whereas a heavy cube has a health of 60, so it's exactly the same, but it has a mass of 15 kilograms, so it's 3 times heavier than this block. It offers no extra protection. It's just instead of using a plastic block, it's like using a concrete block or a metal, or a wooden or stone block. And then there's windshield cubes, and they're basically the same. They still have the same health and the same weight as a normal cube for windshields. And this is basically all that's available at Tier 1. When you first start the game, you can buy this. And what you do is you use one of the, and then you got the wheels in the movement. You can buy more wheels if you want, but it says right here that this one has a health of 200 and something. And it's got a max speed of 95 miles an hour, and then max speed with thrusters 126, and then max speed heavy is 62 miles an hour. So the wheels slow down as you add more wheels. So if you have a really heavy bot, it'll go slower than a light bot, but then a light bot will have less health. And it says right here, diminishing returns start at 6 wheels, meaning that at 6 wheels you'll see less of an increase or less of a bonus from having more wheels. Like you better having 8 wheels, you better carry a little bit more weight, but not as much as going from 5 to 4 or 5 to 6. And then diminishing returns ends at 12 wheels, meaning past 12 wheels you won't see any more returns. So having more than 12 wheels is just pointless. And then you see an overclock max speed of 202, where the max speed with thrusters is 126. So that's a big increase, and I'll get into that in a minute. But you have all the same wheels for all the different tiers, all the way up to tier 10. There's tier 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then there's hovers, which basically just float over the ground, just like a hovercraft. And I haven't built too many hovers. You have thrusters, which basically help push your vehicles along the ground or make them fly. If you put enough thrusters on just a cube, it will fly, even without wings. And then at tier 4, they start with the rudders. And then at tier 6 or 7, I think, they start with walker legs. At tier 3, they start with tracks. And at tier 5, you can get skis, and this is the only tier they have skis in. And then tier 5, you can get helicopter blades. And then hardware and movement. If you have wheels, you're called a cruiser. If you have hover blades, you're called a hover. If you have just thrusters and you fly or go across the ground, I think you're called a what is it? A drone. You're called a drone. If you have wings, I don't think they call you anything specifically if you have wings, because when you have wings, it goes by what type of if you're an air vehicle, it goes by what type of weapons you have. If you have legs, you're called a walker. If you have tank tracks, I don't know if you're called a tank. I don't think they really call you a tank. Yeah, they do have tanks because rail tanks. Skis, I don't know if they call you anything specific. I don't think the game has any specific name. And then heli, they call you basically a heli. The types of weapons that you have are SMGs, and basically they're like the shotgun of the game. At long distances, they're terrible, but they have a higher fire rate, so they still do pretty good. And all the guns in the game basically have the same stats as far as damage. A tier 1 gun does, let's see, I think it's a lot of different damages on it, but damage near is 113. Well, I gotta go with something I have. Let's see, a T6 plasma launcher. Damage is 5,700. A tier 6 SMG. I think it's pretty similar. Damage distance. They're pretty similar, because I think when you get to tier 10, they're all exactly the same, but they're all slightly different based on the level. And the SMGs are basically medium distance, and they really excel at close distance. If you play a SMG, basically you wanna you're gonna use them to take out aircraft because of their high fire rate. You just basically spraying bullets into the air and just hope something hits, or you're gonna want to get up close and personal and just nail somebody. Plasma launchers are kind of like splat guns in Borderlands, where they shoot out like a ball of plasma, and it shoots out in an arc pattern, and it's massively, it's, in my opinion, it's one of the most overpowered guns in the game. I don't have a lot of them because I've tried them, and they just don't fit my playstyle very well. But they have a pretty decent range. But they shoot in an arc pattern. They got a special sight, and you got to learn how to use the arc pattern. And I think they have like a 3-second reload time. Yeah, fire rate per plasma: 3 seconds, 3.4, 3.8, 4.2, and 4.6. And basically, that's based on overclock, and I'll get into that in a minute when we get into the game. Then you have rails, and rails are like your snipers of the game. They basically, if you can see it in your view distance, you can hit it with a rail. And in some instances, you can see stuff a tiny bit further than what a rail can hit. But they're super accurate. Some people who don't play rails consider this the most overpowered gun in the game. But I think one of the recent updates kind of, I think, nerfed rails a little bit, because they used to just basically one-shot everything, but since they added some new electro plates, super high damage resistant electro plate shields that overclock with the rails, it kind of negates some of the damage, and I find I was getting like 15-20 kills per game, and then when they put these in here, my kills went down to 2 to 4 if I'm lucky. So I find rail playstyles most natural, but it has been nerfed a lot, and I get basically one shot by plasmas more often than I get one shot by rails. So I think this is the most overpowered gun in the game. Some people think this is the most overpowered gun in the game, and then a lot of people say the SMGs are the most overpowered gun in the game. And then you have nanos, and nano disruptors are basically a medic gun. It does damage to the enemy and heals allies. Now, the healing to the allies is very strong. I mean, 10 or 15 seconds you can heal an ally, and damage to a enemy, I find personally, I think they're a little bit too weak, because when you're playing the game and a medic attacks you, it's like, oh, a medic attack, let me hurry up and turn around and run. And they're basically not very strong. It's just basically a support character, but it does offer one of the things that I hate most in the game is you get a group of people where you have 2 healers, because one healer by himself, I can just shoot all his guns off and then he's done for. Or he'll hide behind a tank and I don't worry about the tank. I just shoot all the healers' guns off, and then I can worry about the tank. Or I could just flee and let one of my tanks deal with the tank. But if you get 2 healers together, they can get 2 healers behind 2 or 3 tanks. It takes an entire enemy team to stop them. And if we're doing it, I feel unfair. If they're doing it to us, I feel that we can't make any progress. And I find this is what's kind of ruining the game for me personally. And I think a lot of other people, I notice when you have a platoon of people and you see 2 healers and 3 tanks, or 2 healers and 2 tanks on the same platoon, 9 times out of 10 they're going to be doing what's called healer tanking. And the healers hide behind the tanks. They heal the tanks. They heal them so fast. They heal them faster than we could damage them. And then so we go after the healer, and while we're trying to take out one healer, the other healer's healing him while the tank's doing damage to you. And I find this is what basically is killing the game right now, and I don't think that the developers see it that way, but to me this is what's ruining the game. And I tried making a healer at tier T6, and I just don't find it my play style either. And then we have Tesla Blades. Now Tesla Blades unlock at tier 8, and it's a melee weapon of all things in a robot fighting game. And basically it's just a beam. You have these 2 bars, and when you start they're just centered. And you put these on your robot, and I've seen the people use them for mohawks and stuff like that. But you put them on your vehicle, and basically if this beam touches another robot at tier 8, let's see, does it give me a damage? Yeah, 28,910. Let's compare that to a SMG. Damage near 3,000. So I mean that's a massive difference. And basically, if this touches a robot, the entire robot explodes. It's just, it's super overpowered. And then the only, I guess, good thing about a Tesla is it's a one-use weapon. It doesn't self-regenerate, so if you use it, you'll get one kill with it, and then you have to return to base and get it healed, or you have to have your healer heal it. And a lot of people who play healers, since the Nano is so weak to damage enemies, they use Tesla blades as their main damage type. And then you'll get and then if you have a Tesla blade, you'll show up as a Tesla, which can be a healer but can just also be a Tesla block with other weapons on it. But most people who run Teslas will run a Nano. And then we have our shields, which are just like any other game. It's a shield. They call them electroplates, and it'll take a certain amount of damage. You know, a tier 3, or this is a tier 2 electroplate, will take 1,500 damage, whereas a tier 2 SMG does damage near 235 now. So it takes almost like 10 shots to take it out. Then once it takes out, it gets destroyed. It gets blown off your robot. And then it takes 6 seconds to regenerate, to cool down before it'll recharge back up. And then that overclock is 0.8 seconds, and we'll get back into overclocking in a little bit. And then the special, you can unlock radars, would allow you to see within a certain range enemy robots. It'll pick them up, and if you're the first person to pick up an enemy robot with your radar, you get a scouting bonus. And each radar gives you more coverage, a higher coverage field, and then you can stack radars and get a wider range. Then as soon as you can get radars at tier 1 and tier 3, radar jammers come out, where it doesn't jam the radar 100%. I would say it probably blocks it 80% of the time. So instead of them seeing you for, as soon as their radar hits, they might not see you immediately, and you'll pop up for like 5 or 10 seconds, and then you'll go invisible again. You'll be a little red dot for 5 or 10 seconds, then you go invisible again. And headlights, I think headlamps are free. I'm not sure if you could buy more headlights, but yeah, they have headlights. Yeah, I think they have headlights. I don't know if you have to buy them or not, but and then you have at tier 7 you can unlock radar receivers. And what radar receivers do is shares radar information with your teammates. It allows you to if your enemy is on the front line, you get the information from their radar. So if you've got teammates all over the map, you can basically see the entire map except for people who are jammed. So there, and I don't know if these stack. I know radar jammers do. I know from tier 3 to like in tier 4, if you want to make up the difference for the fact that there's no tier 4 jammer, you put 2 T3 jammers on. And same thing with tier 9 is the highest you can get. So you might want to put an extra one if you want to have a super stealthy build. And then, like I said, cosmetics. And we can go to Cube Depot and I'll show you what we can buy. We can buy the speedometer, altimeter, vapor trails. Leave a line behind your robot. It looks pretty cool on flyers. I find it gives you away a little bit more, and I don't even know if it shows to the enemy. I'm not even sure if it shows up for the enemy or not. I think it's just something local on your machine to make you look cooler. I know the flags show up, and then I know the robot, the nameplates show up. And this is basically like a huge license plate. I mean, if this was a license plate on your car, it would be like bigger than the tailgate of a truck. So it's pretty big. But you can basically type whatever you want on here, and it'll show up in game. And then you got all the flags for the different countries. We have some a Robocraft support flag. We have Able Gamers charity flag. We got dev support, a gold dev support. We got a cosmetic spike. It doesn't do anything, but I've seen some builds where they build something that kind of looks like a lizard or something like that. They put spikes down its spine, and it looks pretty cool. Or use them for like a shark fin or an antenna or something like that. So that's pretty cool. And then we had these max sets, which is what we saw on the robots. You piece these is it 4 or 6? It's 6 pieces, and it makes this is the mech robot that's on this robot. That's what it looks like. And once you piece all of it, it kind of looks like I guess a rhino or something like that. And then the other one was the saber mask for the saber copter, which was this one. And there was a Uber wolf, which is a red wolf in here at times. And basically, if you buy the robot, you get the mask, free. And since this is a tier 7 robot, it automatically unlocks an extra garage. You get 30 days of premium. It automatically bumps you up to 599 P-flops of CPU, which I'll get into that in a little bit. And then it automatically unlocks T5. Well, it says T5 dash. Okay, yeah, there's a T. No, there's T7s on here. I guess that's a misprint, or maybe it means 2 tier 7 rotor blades. But it automatically unlocks those on your tech tree, and it automatically unlocks the tier 7 plasma, and unlocks tier 6 thrusters, and unlocks tier 4 armor cubes. So it automatically bumps you up. So you can pay for this maybe about $14.95 or something like that, and you can automatically bump up. So it's not pay to win, it's pay to advance quicker, which I played the game for about a month and maybe a half, and I've unlocked everything in the game. So it's not necessary. There'll be plenty of people who've played the game longer than you to beat, give you a hard time without having to buy anything. Basically, every time you tier up, people who's been in that tier will have more stuff than you, and it'll be pretty hard. And then this is your tech tray. This is how you unlock stuff. Basically, I think at tier 1 you can unlock these tier 1 armor cubes, and instead of having a health of 60, these have a health of 105. So it's advantageous to buy it. I think it's like, I don't remember what it was, and they kind of constantly change them. But they you enter a battle, and you whether you win or lose, you get tech points. I think the people who win get double the tech points to the people who lose. And basing on how productive you are, if you just sit and hide, you're not going to get a lot of tech points. I've played games where I've gotten absolutely 0 tech points, where I just couldn't do anything. And I've played games where I've got over 100 tech points. So I think these are only like 10 or 12 tech points. They're not very much to unlock. And you can unlock the T1 thrusters, you can unlock the T1 radar, all at T1 tech points. And then the guns are a little bit different. A tier 2 gun, this is kind of how you progress. You build your robot out of white cubes, and then you unlock your armor cubes, and you slowly replace and get stronger armor. And so your first battle, you might be fighting people with these armor cubes, and you've got the white ones, and you're gonna get owned basically. but you get these and you kind of replace them, and then you put thrusters, you unlock the thrusters, and then you buy some, and then you put them on, and your vehicle will go a little faster, and you have more speed and more control, more steering, more everything. And then with the guns, you unlock tier 2 guns with tier 1 tech points. You unlock tier 3 guns with tier 2 tech points. And that's how you progress. So once you've unlocked everything in tier 1, you know, and tried it out, you unlock your tier 2 guns, and they'll even allow you to use tier 2 guns on a tier 1 bot, but I think it's limited in how much you can use. Like, in the way the game works is only 6 guns. After 6 guns, SMGs, only 6 SMGs fire at once, so having more than 6 doesn't give you a faster fire rate or DPS. You'll have the same DPS and the same fire rate whether you have 6 guns or 100 guns. But by having 8 guns over 6 guns, if 2 get shot off, you still have redundancy and you still have the same fire rate and DPS for a little longer. But if you put a tier 2 gun on, say you may only be limited to 3 tier 2 guns before it, or 2 tier 2 guns and 4 tier 1 guns before it bumps you into tier 2. And then once you get into tier 2, you're going to start getting tier 2 tech points, and you're going to want to move up to the tier 2 armor, tier 2 wheels, tier 2. At that point, you can start getting tier 2 thrusters. You can start getting tier 2 hover blades. You can start unlocking tier 3 guns, jammers, and that's how the game starts progressing. You have helium cubes, which I think helium cubes are. I'm not good with the metric system, but 488 kilonewtons of lift. I think it's basically about, it can lift about 5. I think these are like 3 blocks it can lift, and then these are 5 blocks it can lift, and you know, something like that. And you can basically, I've seen people put helium blocks, a chair, and a railgun, and they call those satellites. The game starts, they just go to the max ceiling, sit in the max ceiling, and they just fire down on unsuspecting enemies. And basically nothing but a rail can shoot them, but nobody can really see them. And I think that kind of went out of style. I don't think anybody does that anymore, but they are called satellites, and people do them. And then they've got these arrow rods, and what these are super lightweight building. They're like building blocks. These shorts are like 3 blocks long, but the weight is 2 kilograms versus a T5 block. Let's see, a T5 block weighs 10 kilograms, so it would weigh 30 kilograms for 3 of these, and these only weigh 2 kilograms. So these are super light, but they have less health than 3 blocks. And they have the same hitbox, so there's no advantage to them being thin and skinny, but you have less health than 3 normal blocks, but it's in 1 unit. So overall it has a super high health for a single unit, and it is super lightweight. And that's something they just added, I think, last week. And then you have Mega stuff, and Mega is the basically they call it TX1, which is basically tier Roman numeral 10 plus 1, which is tier 11, and it takes super ridiculous amounts of tech points. It's 800 and I want to say it was 800 tech points to unlock the Mega SMG, which I just got. And where is it? Right here. I think it was 805, and I just unlocked it. And then I think these were 500 and something for the Mega wheels. and then they got the Mega Hover and a Mega Plasma, and they're supposed to be working on more. And then they got the Mega Seat, and then they got the Mega TX1 ship, which is just a larger garage. It lets you build bigger robots, and that's something you work on, kind of like an in-game thing. I've seen people play with them, and I really don't like them. Basically, the way they are right now is you got one Mega on each team, and then everybody on that team just gets behind the enemy, and the Mega absorbs damage, and you usually got 3 healers behind them, and it's just basically the whole team comes together and just shoots until one team's dead, and I really don't like it that much. It's not really my thing. I'll unlock it and I might play with them later, but I think when you get the Mega Seat, it's got a CPU booster in it. Multiplies your P-flops times 5, I think.